Hi, welcome to Bitcoin Nightly News. I'm your host, Hugh Manatee. My goal is to bring you on my daily Bitcoin journey and share the relevant stories and themes of the day in Bitcoin. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow on X. We've got a lot of stories today, ETFs. We're going to look at some Bitcoin charts. We're going to watch some Michael Saylor videos. We got Jack Mallers at the end on Bloomberg just a few hours ago. Really interesting uh, speech from Jack. So make sure you stay to the end for this one. You won't want to miss it. Hope you can hear that horn, everybody. All right, ETF flows. A really good day yesterday, Tuesday the 19th, for ETF flows. BlackRock, Grayscale, and Fidelity and ARK had pretty good days as Bitwise, all over 100 Bitcoin. BlackRock, Fidelity, and ARK with over 2,000 Bitcoin each. And even some action in China. China AMC with 325 Bitcoin. They've been kind of laying dormant for a while here, the last few days. So it's nice to see some action in China. That's it for ETFs. I wanted to take a look at halving process and halving progress. So this outlines the halving events. Pretty interesting. This is from the Rational Root, his website, bitcoinstrategyplatform.com. A lot of good data on here. He's really good at what he does, has a lot of good data visualization tools and cycle analysis, and really knowledgeable about Bitcoin. So this is highlighting the halvings and Bitcoin price here, and I think the white is all-time highs. All right, so right here you see halving and a lot of all-time highs right after the halving, and then another parabolic rally and all-time highs after the halving. This is 2013, yeah, 2012, 2013. And then here in 2016, 17, kind of stable but upward trending in just after the halving, and then huge parabolic rise in 2017. And then in 2020 and 2021, big parabolic rise and all-time highs right after the halving, and then a dip, and then one tick up all-time high after the halving. And then you can see here, we've been kind of stable but upward trending. It just looks a lot different this time. And so I'm thinking it looks like a lot of white dots coming up here pretty soon. So I just like to kind of view the monetary policy part of Bitcoin and timing over the price chart. And when we see all-time highs, I think that's good context for the time we're going into. And then another chart from Bitcoin Strategy Platform. This is the psychology of market cycle chart, a hodler's cheat sheet. So if you're holding Bitcoin, this is kind of the phases of Bitcoin. And you can see here, this is like the start of a year, and I believe each one of these quadrants is 1 year. So every full rotation around the circle is 4 years, or a full cycle between halvings. And you can see the stages of growth. And I think the green dots are, I think they represent all-time highs, if I'm not mistaken. So they're usually like here in this quadrant. So that's why everybody was expecting like a 2026 all-time high. This is 2025, but we see a lot of dark green here. These are bear market lows down here. You can see here that we're in the optimism phase, and then so 2025 is belief and intermission, and potentially even thrill could get thrown in there, but who knows what we're seeing right now. But this is a good chart and something I look out for, just to kind of zoom out and see where we are at a macro view for the cycle, kind of what we should be feeling, and see if it's aligned with the chart, and it looks like it is. New all-time high for Bitcoin today. Put a big, cool, smiley face right here. So this wick just touched $94,990. Freaking sweet to see. just 5% away from 100K. Awesome. Now we're going to get into some MicroStrategy news and kind of a Saylor section here for the nightly news. Eric Balchunas posted that MicroStrategy is the most traded stock in America today. Look at this volume, 18.5 billion in value. Big ups for MicroStrategy. It looks like people are like flocking to that game for Bitcoin exposure. They have a lot of capital instruments to use and capture Bitcoin upside with low risk. I kind of talk about MicroStrategy as a Bitcoin refinery. They're taking crude Bitcoin and making financial instruments out of that to give every type of investor the exposure they want. It's very smart. More from Michael Saylor. They had an offering for convertible bonds due 2029. I think the original listing was 1.75 billion, and due to like it being overprescribed or oversubscribed, they raised it to 2.6 billion. So they're seeing a lot of demand for these products, and they can borrow more and just continue this process. Again, for Michael Saylor, looks like he'll be able to get some time with the Microsoft board next month and talk to them about buying Bitcoin for its treasury. There's a meeting for Microsoft in December, I think December 10th, and the shareholders voted or are supposed to vote on whether they want the board to seriously look at Bitcoin as an investment, and it looks like Saylor's got the opportunity to talk to them about it. And in my opinion, that generally goes well. Saylor is a great spokesperson, especially for high-level individuals who are running corporations, because that's what he does and that's what he can communicate. They have access to the same tools and a lot of the same capital markets, so they speak the same language, and I think that would just go well. So excited to hear how that goes. All right, and here's a video from Saylor on the PBD podcast. Patrick Bet-David, he runs Valuetainment. The big quote from this, you'll see. It's great.
Now, it was a $90 billion asset class in March of 2000 when I was first looking at it. And then by August, it was about $180 billion asset class. And right now, 4 years later, it's $1.8 trillion asset class. And I think it's going to 18 trillion, then 180 trillion, then it's going to go beyond that. So I think it's a very simple thing. I think Bitcoin is going to grow from 0.1% of the money in the world to 7% of the money in the world over the next 21 years. And of course, you should just go long and keep buying it.
0.1% to, you said 7%?
Yeah, it'll go from like 1.8 trillion to $240 trillion, and it'll go up 29% a year, ARR. That is my base case.
And I've heard you say that in 21 years, it's going to be at $13 million
That
per
takes you
Bitcoin.
to 13 million a coin.
13 million a coin.
13 million a coin.
At 29%.
Every Bitcoin you don't buy is going to cost you $13 million, my friend.
Every
Think
Bitcoin.
hard.
So
There it is. Michael Saylor hitting PBD with straight facts. It's awesome to see. I highly suggest watching this entire podcast. It's under 2 hours. I think it is over an hour and a half. I think I was listening to it last night. It went by pretty quickly. Saylor has some of his most eloquent moments on this podcast. He has a lot of them, but this is really good stuff. Patrick Bet-David made it I think 9 figures in insurance, and now he runs a big media company, and he has many businesses. Really smart guy, really equipped mind, and Saylor and he really do go at it, and Saylor really stays true and just does some of his best work, in my opinion. So highly suggest watching the whole thing if you have the time. More news. This is from TFTC. Jason Lowry, author of Soft War, has applied to advise the U.S. government on proof-of-work technology. Bitcoin stockpiles and a national hash force. So shout out to TFTC for sharing this. This is really big work. I saw Jason at Bitcoin First in LA, and I listened. He's actually spoke twice at 2 sessions. And he said that there was like a relatively high likelihood if Trump wins the election, he'd be moving to DC and do work on this. For those of you that want a little bit more background, Jason is I believe a major in the U.S. Space Force. He just finished his studies at MIT, and he has a tremendous knowledge about proof of work systems and Bitcoin, especially from a national defense point of view. And I think that he understands how to speak to the strategic importance of Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining to the U.S. and our global interests. And I think that that's going to get higher up in the defense ranks, and I think Jason's going to have a long, illustrious career advising the military on how to secure Bitcoin and America's interest in Bitcoin, however that may manifest. So this is big news. From Bitcoin news, Tyrone Ross, 401 Financial CEO, there is a frustration that the advisors typically cannot discuss Bitcoin with clients. They can't bring it up. They're admonished not to say anything at all, and they are embarrassed by that. It just makes them look silly. So it looks like FAs are starting to make some noise to their employers and bosses about being able to talk about Bitcoin for clients. I think that this is going to percolate more. The average financial advisor, I imagine, is a good person and wants to uphold their fiduciary duty to their clients. And part of that is evaluating any emerging asset classes and newly established asset classes to see if it can add positive returns to a client's portfolio in however you manage that risk-adjusted return. And from what I understand and what I've seen is any way you slice it, any allocation to Bitcoin improves portfolio returns on risk-adjusted basis, or really any basis, and hard to argue that it should be kept out of a portfolio. And financial advisors understand that. I think they're doing the work. I think they've had the last 10 or 11 months since the ETF approval to really dive into this space, and I think that's really starting to culminate in a lot of them really beginning to understand Bitcoin and want it for their clients, which is great to see. So I expect this to keep going, and I expect financial advisors to really start hammering their clients when a lot of this starts to flip. And the last thing that I want to talk about is a video from Jack Mallers. I want to show you this. He was on Bloomberg Technology. This is from today. I think it was posted like 3 or 4 hours ago. Jack is always really philosophical about talking about Bitcoin at its core, and he's a hardcore Bitcoiner, and he gets its freedom technology and its relationship to American values of freedom and property. And I think he really does a good service here by explaining it to this Bloomberg host. So let's watch this. It's about a little less than 5 minutes, but I do want to show you the whole thing. It's really valuable stuff.
What you've seen in terms of trading on the platform since the election?
The day post-election, the Wednesday post-election, our business doubled. We saw 100% growth in Bitcoin purchases. Our customers are predominantly purchasing Bitcoin, and over 90% since election are actually taking the Bitcoin off the platform and holding it in their own custody. So we're not seeing active speculative trading on gambling on the short-term price. We're seeing long-term accumulation on our platform, and our customers are excited. We serve Bitcoiners, and Bitcoiners are excited right now.
Okay, so you're maybe supporting those that are focus purely on the ecosystem, but people are going elsewhere to trade, whether it's gambling or not. We now got options trading on the Bitcoin spot ETFs. What do you think of that? What do you make of this transition from, well, DeFi and crypto into more traditional finance?
Well, the last time I was on this show, I told you and Ed, which, Ed, congrats, by the way, I'm thinking of you. I told you guys I thought Bitcoin was the only money in crypto. I wasn't sold on any of the other cryptocurrencies, and that my business, we're predicated on Bitcoin as money, and we sell our customers financial services. So if you're a customer of mine, you want Bitcoin financial services, you want to buy it, you want to store it, you want to move it, you want to pay your bills with it, you maybe want a loan against it. These are the type of products that we want to serve our customers in the future. We do not think of ourselves as a speculative exchange, so that's my customer base. Options, ETFs, MSTR, all of these things are pro-liquidity for Bitcoin. What you want in a money or a store of value is you want it to be sellable. You want it to be liquid at any point, 24/7, 365, globally. You want to be able to sell it. And so all of this is pro-liquidity, which enhances the profile for Bitcoin to be a better asset for a government, a corporation, an individual. So everything is bullish for Bitcoin. That's what I always say. So another day, more bullish activity for the asset.
Okay, convince me of why, for this liquidity, for this vision, for the future of money, you need a strategic Bitcoin reserve, because I know that's what you've been speaking with Cynthia Loomis about. Sorry, we're having infrastructure issues
Not
today.
your fault, not your fault. Here, you know, I think the unique positioning on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, I think if this happens, this will be one of the most important economic announcements in U.S. history. I think it'd be on par with 1971 and Nixon. However, what I think is not being talked about enough is it's positive, Caroline. It's positive.
Because you'd have to go out there and buy in the market, but will that actually happen?
No, my meaning is this. In 1933, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? We're taking all your gold. In 1971, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? We're divorcing ourselves from the gold standard so we can print money. In 2008, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? It was we're bailing out all the big banks that misbehaved. In 2025, if the U.S. has a really big economic announcement, what is it? It's we're pro-technology, we're pro-innovation. What principles and morals and ethical alignment does Bitcoin have? Equal rights, equal opportunity, an open network. These are American ideals, American values. This is an asset that was accessible to the people 15 years ago that the people own. Governments only own 2, 3, 4% of this asset. This asset is held by the people. It acts in the best interest of the public. It's pro-jobs, it's pro-energy, it's pro-industry, it's pro-growth. And does anyone else have a plan to get us out of debt? Are we gonna start a lemonade stand out here in Times Square? No, how about the best performing asset in the history of mankind? We lean into it, we buy it. Coinbase is an American company, Strike's an American company, Kraken's an American company, Tether sells the US dollar. Let's support these businesses. Let's support this industry.
But the market cap is less than NVIDIA for the entire crypto ecosystem. When does that become bigger?
I think when people buy it, listen, I think that ego gets in the way of many people. People think they're late to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, right? I think that late according to who? Oh, because you're comparing yourself to Michael Saylor, you're comparing yourself to your college roommate, you're comparing yourself to your coworker. Over the last 15 years, the best thing you could have done is buy Bitcoin. And I think that's going to be true for the next 1,500 years. And so as a country, I think we have a choice. I think everyone else around the world is understanding we are pro-growth, pro-business, pro-Bitcoin as this new administration takes office. And we have to make a decision. I think the worst thing we can do is not own enough. And actually, to de-risk this, we should buy some and push these American ideals in technology and innovation and growth through the best performing asset and technology in mankind.
There you have it. That's Jack. If you haven't seen Jack before, he's the CEO of Strike.
Wouldn't it be great if you...
Stop. He's the CEO of Strike, which is a Bitcoin-only app. You can buy Bitcoin on it with dollars. You can use Lightning to send money. You can do recurring buys. They have really good deals on recurring buys. I think they actually might be free recurring buys for customers, and they make it easy for you to take it off the exchange and off Strike and put it into cold storage, and they make a big deal about it. And Jack is a very good dude. So I wanted to show you that video because I think he's a really good mind on the subject of Bitcoin and shares its economic utility for America and how it represents American values. He really harps on that and really stays true to it, and I really applaud him for it. So if you see any content with Jack, it's always worth watching. Really cool. Anyway, that's our episode. I know we went a little long today, but we had a lot to share in Bitcoin, a lot's going on. Again, the reason I do this is because I know learning about Bitcoin is difficult and it's kind of an arduous journey, and I just want to share a little bit of like charts and stuff to kind of get you acclimated to some data and the cycles, as well as kind of take you through the news of the day, just so you can keep tabs on this space. It kind of moves fast and it looks like it's accelerating. And I know learning about Bitcoin is hard. So I want to be here for people as this kind of ramps up and be a voice and kind of decipher some things for you and share some things with you, just to kind of keep you in the loop, to get you up to speed on this space as best I can, because I think Bitcoin's really important. I think it's really important for everyone on Earth, and I'd hate for people in my country not to know about it. So I just want to put my voice out there and share everything that I've learned and kind of how I see things, because I remember being new and it's hard to find people to trust in the space. So that's our show for today. Again, I'm Hugh Manatee. We'll see you tomorrow.